Every single breath you take feels pretty important, right? I mean, it's life. But what if I told you that a chunk of that air, it doesn't do anything? It never actually gets oxygen into your blood. Well, that's what we're diving into today, this really fascinating idea called dead space. Just stop and think about that number for a second. 20,000 times a day. That's how often your body is pulling in air to keep everything running. But what if a huge number of those breaths, thousands of them, were basically doing nothing for your oxygen supply? This isn't some weird hypothetical. It's a real thing called dead space.
So what are we actually talking about here? Well, dead space is just the air you breathe in that doesn't make it to the part of your lungs where all the magic happens. Where oxygen jumps into your bloodstream and you get rid of carbon dioxide. It's pretty much air that's just along for the ride.
Okay, now hearing wasted breath sounds bad, but not all dead space is a problem. Actually, a certain amount of it is not only completely normal, it's absolutely necessary. We call this anatomical dead space, and it's all about the journey that air has to take just to get where it's needed.
And it's really important to get this distinction right. There are two main types. You've got anatomical dead space. That's just the air that's filling up the pipes, your airways. Totally normal. Can't avoid it. But then you have alveolar dead space. This is when air gets to the lung sacs, but nothing happens. And that is a sign that something's wrong.
So where is this normal dead space hanging out? It's the air that fills up your conducting zone. Think about it. That's everything from your nose, down your throat, past your voice box, into your windpipe, and through all those branching airways, the bronchi. The walls of these tubes are just too thick for gas to get through.
So how much air are we talking about? Well, for the average adult, it's about 150 milliliters every single time you breathe in. If you're trying to picture that, it's about half a can of soda. A really good rule of thumb is that it's about 2 milliliters for every kilogram of your ideal body weight. But here's the really cool part, the twist. This so-called wasted breath isn't actually wasted at all. It's doing some super important work on its way down. It's warming the air, adding moisture to it, and filtering out junk, all to protect the really delicate parts of your lungs. It even creates enough pressure to keep your airways from just collapsing.
And if you like a quick and easy way to estimate this, there's something called Radford's formula. It basically says that your anatomical dead space in milliliters is going to be roughly the same number as your body weight in pounds. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you've got about 150 milliliters of anatomical dead space. Pretty simple, right? But remember, that little trick only really works for healthy lungs. All right, so that's the normal kind of wasted breath. But what happens when things go wrong? This is where we run into alveolar dead space. When those tiny little air sacs, the alveoli, become a total dead end for gas exchange. So how does this even happen? It's basically a tragic mismatch. See, first, the ventilation part works great. Fresh air makes it all the way down to the lung sacs. But then there's no perfusion. That just means there's no blood flow, or not enough, going to those specific sacs. And if there's no blood, the air has nothing to trade gases with. So you're breathing air in and out, but it's completely useless. And this isn't some rare thing. It's a huge part of several very serious medical conditions. A pulmonary embolism, which is a blood clot in the lungs, is the classic example. It literally puts a roadblock in the blood flow. You also see this happen in different types of shock. And diseases like emphysema, which destroy the tiny blood vessels, or severe lung injuries like ARDS, can create this really dangerous situation too. Okay, so we've got the normal anatomical dead space, and we've got the problem child, the alveolar kind. But in the real world, in a clinic, doctors need to see the whole picture. They need one single measurement that tells them the total wasted breath so they can figure out what's really going on. And the idea for that is actually beautiful in its simplicity. It's called physiological dead space. And it is literally just the normal anatomical dead space plus that problematic alveolar dead space all added together. It's the grand total of all the air that isn't doing its job no matter the reason. So officially, physiological dead space is the total volume of every breath that's wasted. And clinically, this is a huge deal. Why? Because it is the single best tool we have to measure a ventilation-perfusion mismatch, which is just a way of saying how well the air coming into the lungs is matching up with the blood flowing through them. And this right here is where you can see the difference between being healthy and being sick so clearly. For someone with healthy lungs, that dangerous alveolar dead space is basically zero. It's negligible. That means their total physiological dead space is pretty much exactly the same as their normal, necessary anatomical dead space. It's only when a problem starts that those two numbers begin to drift apart. So, This brings us to the big "so what" question. Understanding all this isn't just for textbooks. It is absolutely fundamental for diagnosing and treating patients, especially in critical care, where every single breath really, really counts. This chart really pulls it all together nicely. You've got anatomical, that's the normal air in the pipes, which interestingly you can shrink by putting in a breathing tube. Then there's alveolar, that's the bad one, the one you see in things like a pulmonary embolism. Physiological is the grand total, our best indicator of that crucial V/Q mismatch. And hey, there's one more, apparatus dead space. That's the extra volume from ventilator tubing that doctors in the OR or ICU always have to factor in.
Whew, we have gone over a lot, so let's just boil it all down to the absolute must-know facts, the key takeaways from this whole explainer.
Okay, if you remember nothing else, remember these 4 things. 1, in a healthy person, the total wasted breath is just the normal anatomical amount. The 2 numbers are pretty much the same. 2, a pulmonary embolism will cause a massive spike in that bad alveolar dead space. 3, putting in a breathing tube actually reduces anatomical dead space by creating a shortcut past the upper airways. And finally, the most important one, physiological dead space is our #1 clue for how well the lungs are working. And that really leaves us with one final thought. This idea of wasted breath is way more than just a cool fact. It's like a window into your health. The amount and the type of air that you breathe in but don't actually use can tell a really powerful story about what's going on inside your lungs. It's something to think about with your very next breath.